Hi, and welcome to another episode of Bold Man Marketing with me, Brad Sweeney, president of Just Small Biz Marketing. Today, our guest is going to be Stu Smith from Citrus Solutions. We'll talk a little bit more about Stu later, and when I talk to him personally. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about today's topic, which is, whose fault is it when you get bad reviews? Okay, many small business owners, myself included, understandably put our hearts and souls into our small businesses, which is why when we get a negative review, it can really hurt us to the core. Sometimes, like every other human being out there, our tendency is to blame the customer and say, this is an exception or something else like that. Now, is this right or wrong? Of course, it depends. Regardless, it is ultimately we, the small business owners, who are generally at fault. That's because, one, if it's a bad staff interaction that caused the bad review, the business owner is the one that set the culture that allowed the bad staff to be hired. Now, you can't hire everybody perfectly, but you can do a better job than others at avoiding hiring the wrong type of people for a particular type of business. The second thing is, if the product or service is poor, the business owner is the one who created it, or the business owner allowed it. Now, I worked in an organization that really couldn't care whether it delivered on what it promised or not. It had enough business out there that they could just ignore any bad review or keep on selling to new people. It just didn't care. And I left that organization after about 6 months. I'm going to give you an example of something that happened at a restaurant to me last month. I went to a famous restaurant. I ordered something for lunch. I got something that didn't meet the standards that the owner would have wanted me to eat. The server asked me about my meal, and instead of saying something along the lines, it's okay, I expressed to him that it really wasn't quite up to par. He didn't argue. He didn't blame me. He just corrected it. And for that, the business and the staff got a great review. But first, certainly, that bad dish should probably never have come out in the first place. The manager should have done some quality control to ensure that bad food didn't come out. The third thing is, if you don't have the means to capture the bad review or feedback before it got to the public, that's your fault. In other words, you need to have it, like I say, where I could actually express myself to somebody and get it corrected right there. A lot of businesses don't have that. They don't follow up with the customer with an email or postcard or a phone call or anything that says, hey, can you do me a favor and rate how we did treating you yesterday? If you have that and actually implement it, a lot of times they'll express themselves to you directly, and they don't really have the need to go on Google or some of the other websites to give you a bad review. They're going to tell you directly. You can address their concerns directly. You can solve it, and everybody's happier. If you don't have that, they're going to go and use the only mechanism available, which is a public review. That's why you have to have a mechanism to get feedback from customers directly. To review, whose fault is it when you get bad reviews? Generally, it's your fault as a small business owner. I know you don't like to hear that. I don't like to hear that about my own business, but that's the reality of it. Ensure you hire good staff. If you have a great product or service and great quality control and have a means for people to express themselves inside the corporation, you're going to get people to tell you exactly what it is that's bothering them and how to improve your product. A bad review is going to foster a lot more bad reviews and certainly hurt your business. So that's why you really need to focus on treating those customers that you get rightly and in the right way. And if you do something bad, admit it, correct it, and move on. I think it'll go much better for you. So today I want to talk to you about or introduce our guest, Stu Smith from Citrus Solutions. Now, Stu is a complete package. Stu is not only a small business owner, but he's a veteran. He's been in the business world for a while, and he really cares about the community in which he lives. He's the chairman of the Cocoa Beach Regional Chamber of Commerce Military Affairs Council, and also donates 10% of his proceeds to the Brevard's Veterans Center. So Stu is really what we think a small business owner should be, someone who not only cares about delivering great quality service to people, but also really cares about giving back to the community of which he's a part. And so I want to introduce Stu. He's going to talk to you a little bit from his perspective about his take on marketing and how he has a little bit different take on things, and how I think he's really postured to do well here and throughout the areas he seeks to expand his business. So without further ado, Stu, I'd like you to say hi to everybody.
Hey, Brad, thanks very much, and certainly do appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and your audience.
Yeah. Well, as a fellow veteran, it's always good to see another veteran go out there in the business world and do well.
Yeah, it's it's interesting. Like you said in the introduction, I do quite a bit of work, not only with my own business, but I also help fellow veterans transition out of the service. And one of the first questions I ask them is, would you rather work for yourself or would you rather work for somebody else? And it's amazing how many veterans are just ideally suited for entrepreneurship. And they leave the service with a set of skills and knowledge, and more importantly than anything, like you mentioned in the introduction, an attitude that really lends itself to entrepreneurship. So, like you, very proud to be a veteran of the Armed Forces, and think that the skills are very transferable when you open up a small business.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. Now, what did you find that out of the serving in the military, you were in the Army, I was in the Air Force, what did you get from that you think is very applicable to starting your own business?
Yeah, I think I can sum it up, and we when you and I have our conversations, I sum it up in one word, and that is service. And so and it's really kind of interesting how we use that term. So when you go into the military, a lot of times we say you're going into the service. And when you leave the military and you hang up your uniform, your service doesn't end. You've served your country, and as an entrepreneur, a small business owner, you can come back and serve your community. And so understanding what it really means to serve someone else, whether it's, you're risking your life or limb, in some far-off dangerous place, or you're trying to run a business and keep it afloat and keep other people employed and keep your customers happy, if you don't go with an attitude towards service, my experience speaks to the chance of you succeeding is very small.
Yeah, and one thing I noticed with your emails since the first time I ever had any correspondence with you is you always end it with "in your service," right? I mean, I think that's a tagline that I always remember, and I think that's important. So we'll talk a little bit about marketing, but why don't you tell people really what your business does? Because I said Citrus Solution, but unless I have you explain it, they might not understand it.
Yeah, thanks very much. So the Citrus Solution Carpet Cleaning Company was actually created out of a need in the carpet cleaning industry. There's a lot of good and bad things about the carpet cleaning industry, and we were trying to keep all the good things and address all the poor, whether it's service provision or service itself in the carpet cleaning industry. So my partner, Paul Romanek, who lives in Atlanta, is also a fellow veteran, and we met in a veterans group where the deal was that if you had a set of skills, you would lend that set of skills to the other veteran's success. So Paul approached me and asked me to take a look at his business. At the time, I was very active in business planning and consulting, and he wanted some advice on how to grow his business. So he had a number of people in a business structure that allowed him to grow, but kind of allowed him to top out, too. So he could only grow so big and manage it. So I encouraged him and set up the plan for him to go from a licensed co-op to a franchise. And in exchange for that, because we were there to help each other out, he allowed me the opportunity to buy a number of Citrus Solution carpet cleaning franchises here in the Brevard County area, which I did. And since the early part of 2013, I've been, I own and operate the Citrus Solution carpet cleaning franchises here in Brevard. So our service is set up on several things, and one of the very first things you learn in this business is your first goal is to be a service to the community you live and work in, then the work you provide. In other words, being an entrepreneur and being able to generate income for yourself to support your family also extends to the people who work with you and their families. But there's more to it than that. You need to be able to make enough money to do good in the organization, so be of a greater service than the services you provide, basically. So I've been very fortunate to be able to do really cool things with the National Veterans Homeless Support Organization that helps homeless veterans, and spent a couple years with them doing basic search and rescue efforts in the woods, and also at a community church when people were coming in, and then began a lot of work with the American Veteran Empowerment Team, or AVET, here in Brevard County, provide a lot of what I call time, treasure, and talent to them and their efforts. And then this year, like you said in the introduction, is dedicating or donating a percentage of my revenue to the build-out of the Brevard Veteran Center. And the Brevard Veteran Center is a one-of-a-kind museum here in Brevard County in Merritt Island. All the pieces in that museum are donated by military members or their family members, and it's just a wonderful story of service. And so we've been able to, so far this year, provide about $2,500 to them, to the build out, and supporting them with some events and that kind of stuff. So you got to find, when you leave the service, you have to find an organization, like you said, that matches your values. You didn't want to stay with that organization that had plenty of money and could throw customers off to the side and just market in order to bring in new customers, net new customers. You have to be aligned with an organization that matches your values, your personal orientation, and mine just happens to be toward, serving, the people that work with me and the community I live in.
Yeah, because, you brought up an important point here in that, when you're looking at greater service to the community, and in some ways it's like marketing, you want to get a greater return than the investment on it, is that, when you look at it, I've certainly heard that when you are in the looking for carpet cleaning, et cetera, that there are a lot of people out there will lowball you with estimates, so to speak, just to get you to have them come over to your house, give an estimate that turns out to be a lot more than what you thought. And how do you deal with that in your industry?
Yeah, it's a great question. So and it's not just to the carpet cleaning industry. It's just one example, but we know what's right and what's wrong with the way that we do business, and so we call our pricing model an exactament. It's a play on words. It's an exact price that we're going to give you. And Brad, I'll have to tell you that there are some times when either I've made a mistake by not asking the right questions, or the customer might have made a mistake by not counting the right number of rooms, because we do it by the room. And I've showed up on the job, did the job, and then give them the exactament based on what I cleaned, and they're like, oh, that's not what I expected. Or, that's not what I thought. That happens very rarely. Probably in the last 3 years, it's probably happened 2 or 3 times. But the way you handle that is you honor your commitment. It's just like in marketing, whether it's online marketing or, marketing through traditional methods, it's your reputation. So if you say you're going to provide an exactament and you make a mistake, you own up to the mistake, just like you said in your introduction, and you honor the price. Now, somebody will argue with me, oh, you can't let that amount of revenue get away from you. Every penny counts. I call this a penny business. Every penny counts. But at the same time, if you're short-sighted and go against the established policy and what you told people and your reputation for fair and honest pricing, you're going to lose more money in the future. And it's the unfortunate thing, it's uncountable. It's unknowable, because you don't know what that person is going to do with your reputation once you leave, because it's like a gift that you've given them, right? So you come in, provide a great service, do a good job for them, and that's your reputation. If you've done it right, they're going to take your reputation and go talk about it in a good way, and they're going to talk to a lot of people. If you go in and go against your promise, do business the wrong way, they're going to take your reputation, and it's almost like they're going to be your marketing department. They're going to talk poorly about you to other people, And other people, even if they don't know you, just out of human nature, they'll talk to somebody else. It's like the old phone adage, where you whisper in one person's ear and the story goes all around the room and it comes back a different story. So now you've got more than one person, and you got to make up talking about you, and you got to make up your mind. Are they going to talk about me because I have a good reputation, because I have a poor reputation? So our business practices, our unique approach to carpet cleaning, because we use a citrus-based solution, especially here in Florida, because it dries faster, it stays clean a lot longer because of the way we do our work. It stays clean an incredible amount of time. You don't have that wicking coming back, and it just smells great. So that marketing logo, cleans better, dries faster, stays clean longer, it smells great, was actually created by our customers. So I think that kind of speaks to the way we do business.
Yeah, because what I like is that you really tend to listen to people, and I think that that reputation part is very important, because when you reputation and relationship part was because you and I really met just basically about a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, but we knew a lot of different people. We were both involved in the the military and on the vet side of the house, etc. But we didn't have a chance to meet until about a year ago, and I think that relationship part of the equation with everybody you meet really does matter, because we all want people who are going to do what they say they're going to do, and the more we can find those people, the better off we are, and we're even willing to pay a little bit more, because we know, hey, sometimes it's not going to work out right, but they're still going to honor what they say they're going to do, and I think that's definitely something important.
Yeah, and to your point about us meeting each other, right? We traveled in some of the same circles. I knew you by reputation before I knew you in person. It's just like in business, and it's just like in marketing. So the first thing, just a quick example. So the first thing in social media marketing, if you think about the classic kinds of tools out there, whether it's a Google search or a Facebook search or a Yelp search or Home Advisor search, whatever search you're doing, you're looking first to find somebody, but immediately you find their reputation in the reviews that they have. And I can't tell you the number of people who have called me, and I ask them deliberately. I say something like, you had a lot of choices. You could have called many people. There are other people in this business. Why is it that you chose to do business with us? Why did you call me? And without exception, the number one response is because of your reviews, because of your reputation. And just like with me and you meeting, your reputation and my reputation allowed us to have an introduction, right? Allowed us to do business with each other. And to my benefit in this relationship, I've grown 40% over last year's revenue doing business with you in just small business. So now you've got me running out there saying, hey, you ought to do business with Brad because he knows what he's doing. And so now your reputation gets bigger because you've got, kind of the old concept of raving fans. You've got people out there that have done business with you, who know you, trust you, and see your results, because that's the other part of it. So it's a reputation, relationship, and results. It's almost like the 3 R's of marketing, right? So everything's built on you doing a good job. That's the results part. People find you and find your reputation through your reviews, and then you got to start building a relationship with customers. I don't want people to do business with me once. I literally want to work for you to serve your carpet cleaning needs as long as you need them, as long as you're in the area, as long as we're in business, as long as you're alive. And when you go in with that attitude, you'll treat people differently than you just think, oh, I'm just going to get in and out of this house for, X number of dollars, and I'll never see these guys again. I'll just do some more marketing and I'll get some more customers. Not the way to do that.
I think that's what both you and I are in agreement on is. I have, over the years decided that, hey, I want customers or clients that are really going to be long-term partners, just because it's much better. And one of the things that makes our relationship work so well together is we pay for each other's service advice, so to speak, and there's a partnership there. There's a dialogue, and your perspective on business is helpful not only on how I should run my business, but how to treat people. And I think that's one of the unique aspects of what you have to offer to the business, the business world and the community is that, so, and the more we can do that with those businesses that are going to be partners in the long term, the better off we are, because getting a new customer is expensive. It's very expensive. And in some industries, you could pay $400 to $500 for a new customer. The average new customer costs about $32 to get. And, unless you're looking at the lifetime value of that relationship, you're constantly going to be breaking even or losing money, Yep. So that's one of the things that you definitely, want to look at. So what caused you, because you have a lot of management consulting experience, like what caused you to decide, hey, I want to do this Citrus Solutions franchise?
Yeah, so great question. So, part of it was the fact that I was helping Paul, my business partner. So I got to know his business, and I got to see something unique. And when you're in business, you're always looking for what most people refer to as a competitive advantage, something that you're able to do that your competition just cannot afford to replicate, or just their value system doesn't allow them to replicate it. So Paul had this unique business. It was very intriguing. And what he approached me with was to take my skills, help build this business, and then just be part of it, right? To have an opportunity to put other veterans into businesses. And you got to remember, this was about 4 years ago, and the downsizing of the military was really significant. And there were a number of veterans who would get out of the service, or a number of service members get out of the military and become veterans and not know where to turn. So it appealed to me from a business perspective because it is a unique and really special business. It's got some competitive advantages people can't replicate, so it's a smart business to be in. And it gave me an opportunity to continue to serve my fellow veterans, because when I left the service in 1992, I had the opportunity to go to work for an old brigade commander. His name was Beau Bergeron.
Right.
And Colonel Bergeron went to work for the governor of the state of Washington in this Veterans Affairs Department. And so I got to, leave the service and go right back to work for fellow veterans. So that really kind of imprinted on me what I wanted to do with my fellow veterans. And so this business created an opportunity for me to come back to Florida, establish a business in an area that I love and have known quite a bit, and to run a small business, and to be able to have the flexibility to do what I want to do.
Well, you bring up an important point. You returned to Brevard County, and I forgot about this until you talked about it. But you grew up as a military brat, so to speak, and spent a lot of time in Brevard, right?
Yeah. My dad was in the Space Command, so there were three places you were going to be. You're either going to be in Houston, Texas, you're going to be in Vandenberg, California, or you're going to be here in Brevard County, Florida. And I was born at Vandenberg, and my dad was in the Space Command, so he had a couple tours of duty here. The first one I remember was when I was very young. If anybody knows about Brevard County, there's a road and a park named for a guy whose name is Joe Wickham, and his wife Bernice was my kindergarten teacher. So this is in O'Galley, Florida, in the Wayback Machine back in the 60s. And then when Dad retired, he chose Brevard as the place he wanted to live also. So we came back after he retired, and I was at Brevard Community College at the time, now Eastern Florida State College. And my mom was very involved in the chamber, in the Melbourne Area Chamber of Commerce. And then I went into the service and met my wife on active duty, and we traveled around, and we always knew that we wanted to come back to Brevard County.
Well, yeah, it's a nice place to be, so I certainly understand that. So, all right, so you're a military guy, you've done your own consulting type of stuff. What is the biggest challenge you face as a small business owner?
Oh, it's enough time, right? Because when you're a small business owner, the rule is that you're the only. And so for every function, when you're in a big business, every function had a person assigned to it. So, you had an operations person, you had a person, you had a human resource person, you had all these people that filled these critical roles. Well, when you're in a small business, those are all filled by you. And so you have to, like in our relationship, I have to go out and find my marketing resource. And I know I've told you this before in the past, I've kissed a lot of internet frogs, people who come to me and have promised that they're going to get me the results, one of the R's of marketing, right? They're going to get me the results that I needed by building me a web page and integrating my social media strategy, my reputation management. And there's a bunch of big people in this industry because they make a lot of money off of people like me. They don't necessarily deliver all the results. So you're in this constant search for the right partner in these roles. And that's the biggest challenge, is maximizing yourself, doing what you do best, and finding other people and taking a risk to hire them, finding other people who do stuff better. And so, you've got your marketing and I've got my business management and operational expertise, and together we're better for each other, like you said earlier, selves. But that's the biggest challenge as a small business owners. Too many people, it's like being a craftsman. You're an expert at woodworking. Well, if you're going to make a living at woodworking, you have to hire other woodworkers who make enough to make a living. And so you have to be able to duplicate yourself, right? And so that's the number one challenge.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head, because we're all small business owners are a little bit of control freak. And we have that part of our personality. But for me personally, as well, is that recognition that I probably can figure out the accounting, so to speak, but I'm going to do it much more inefficiently and ineffectively than paying someone. And then when you release that from your job jar, so to speak, or take it out of your job jar, you're in a much happier and better spot than you were before that.
Yep.
And and I know that sometimes the challenge for me is my competition sometimes will charge 700 to 800% more for what I do, yet people have been paying that. And so you realize sometimes that it's not necessarily, we don't all make decisions based on price. What we really want to do is make decisions based on what's going to provide the best, ultimate value to us as business owners. And the same thing when we're consumers is, if my carpet's dirty, I want my carpet cleaned. And if I have kids or pets, I don't want whatever is going to be used to clean my carpet to cause my kids, harm, or my pets harm, or myself harm. So I think that's something that I think is a great thing about your business, especially. We got a few more minutes here. So if you weren't already doing your business today, would you get into it right now?
Absolutely. Yeah, in fact, it's almost here's the other nice thing about being a small business owner. Every day is Groundhog Day, right? Every day is an opportunity to make yesterday a lot better. And so, to be a small business owner, you really have to know yourself, know what your strengths and talents are, know what value you bring to your organization. I know it sounds weird because you're kind of talking about yourself in the third person. But know what value you bring to the organization, and to your point earlier, to know what you don't know how to do, whether it's marketing, accounting, answering the phone, whatever the case may be, and then find somebody who can do that for you. And every day, in a small business, the wonderful part about it is every day is a brand new day to learn from yesterday and to do something different. And the only challenge people find in businesses is that they're paying for it. right? You pay to learn lessons. If you're a small business owner, there's a part, there's a ledger in your checkbook that says lessons learned, and you got to start writing. You got to start writing checks to that. But the other opportunity is if you're smart and you're good and you love what you're doing, which is the other important thing, you'll learn the lessons that'll make every tomorrow even better.
Right. And I think, the key is and myself included, is you have to write checks. Yep. Even a marketing business has to write checks, not only for, the accounting and legal and everything else, but you have to write marketing checks yourself, as you try to, build your business. And the important thing is you take a risk. You don't spend your entire budget for the entire year on one thing. You take a little bit of risk. You evaluate the results, and from those results, you make changes, you make improvements, and it's that constant, never-ending improvement cycle that really helps you, grow. And that's one of the things that I enjoy about working with you, is that, we're looking at a long-term partnership. And for my personal sake, is I'm saying no to people who might be eventual competitors of yours, because I want to nurture that long-term partnership and relationship, because you are an honorable and ethical business person, which you don't always run into those people. And I think everyone who's come across you, and everyone who's had an experience of doing business with you, would always use those terms, that you're, honorable and ethical. And that's something that's very important to people like me, and important to a lot of people out there. And, that's why I'm pleased to be a partner with you on your journey.
Yeah, I appreciate it very much, Brad. And like you said, when you're a small business person, you tend to attract other people like you, and then, your reputation gets better, right, by who you're associated with. So, right. In business in particular, if you're going to maintain a reputation, you have to maintain your relationships. Let me give you an example. I had, the chamber is a highly relational organization, and I was talking to one chamber partner asking about a specific business, and the person was kind of ambivalent about the person running the business, and so I wanted to inquire even more. And so the coaching I got from this person I was talking to was, watch what this person does. Watch who they associate with, and figure out for yourself if those are the kind of people you would want to work with. Because her philosophy was like mine, that person surrounded herself with, the people that were like her. And I come to find out, I learned that I probably didn't want to have a relationship with them, nor did I want my reputation tied to the way she does business. So, again, when you think about marketing, reputation is everything. And, it's built on, like you said, long-term relationships. It's built on us benefiting each other more than just knowing each other, but literally benefiting each other by doing business with each other, working with each other. And it's all based on the results that you get. So your reputation based on your results and your relationship, those are the keys to what you market. Anybody can do what I do, right? Anybody can build a better mousetrap. Anybody can come up with a new business idea and go do what I do. But very few people are going to do it in a way that I do it, that is all based on what I just said, getting the right results, building a great reputation, and building the kind of relationships that last. And that's, anybody can be a house painter, anybody can be a roofer, anybody can be a carpet cleaner, but what distinguishes, what makes a competitive advantage is how you do that business.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I find in my own consulting world on the small business side of the house is I could take two people doing in the same exact industry, and they'll approach the situation completely differently. And that's okay. I mean, you got to just find the right. You got to find the right customers or clients that fit your culture and the way you want to do things. I mean, that's what you're looking for.
Yeah,
I mean,
let me
some
give you
people want to go to Disney.
Yeah, let me give you a quick recent example. So a lot of times, because we're writing checks and because we're struggling to get revenue, we'll take any kind of business, right? There's this temptation that if somebody calls you and you answer the phone and you've got an opportunity to go make money, is you go make money. Well, I had, last weekend was the Thanksgiving weekend. Well, we shut down to be with family over Thanksgiving. That includes the Friday following Thanksgiving. Most people are out shopping, watching football, whatever it is that they're doing, and we want to do the same thing. And a person called me and said, "Hey, I'm really interested in carpet cleaning, and I want you to come over and do the job for me today." And I had to say no, right? I had to say, "Listen, we don't work on this Friday," and she'll probably never call me back, but I have to make the assumption that the person who calls and kind of demands service right now may not be the kind of person I want to do business with, right? And anybody that can't plan far enough ahead, may not be the person I kind of want to do business with. But to maintain my reputation, I treated her as if I was going to do business with her and let her know, we're not available right now. We reopen on Monday. I'd love to give you a call back and talk to you about our services and get you on the schedule in the future. So even though I knew I wasn't going to do business with her, you still have to do business with them as if you'll do business with them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. And I think because I think that call came in from one of the programs we were doing, and it was a Friday morning. So, but that's good because you have to define as a small business owner, all right, what's my life going to be? Am I going to work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, or am I going to carve out that time and make the business fit my culture as well as still meet the needs of the customers or clients that I want? So I think you certainly did the right thing, and you're going to find you're the right type of business for them to meet their goals. So we only have a few more minutes, so I'm just going to answer one of the questions that was asked of me, which is, what's the best marketing for my small business? I get asked that often, like, if I only could do one thing, what should I do, right? I mean, that's something that everybody looks out there. And I think the answer to that goes to what you were saying before is the one thing you can do is to ensure that you are delivering to clients and customers exactly what they're paying for and more. Because if you do that, you are going to get good reviews, which matter so much to prospective customers or clients. And they found in the hotel industry that a higher star rating in your hotel ratings can directly lead to you being able to charge higher rates for people staying in your hotel. Because people work hard, they are going to spend their money, and they want to spend it in a place where they know they're going to get the results that they desire. And that's one of the reasons why companies like Disney do so well. There are certainly cheaper amusement parks out there than Disney. I mean, but year after year, people will spend more and more money to go to Disney because they know the type of experience they're going to get. So if you ask me, and you didn't have any money or had limited money, I would say the best thing that you can do as a small business is focus on doing what you say you're going to do and more, and then get those customers to rave about you online to get you better reviews, which are going to be even more important to future customers or clients. So that's the answer to that question. There's a lot more to it, but that's one thing that I would do. We're running out of time. Do you have anything else, Stu, you want to bring up to people?
Yeah, I just want to reinforce one thing, Brad. So thanks for the opopportunity, and I would encourage people to get in contact with you. I mean, it's made a difference for my business. You give good, sage advice. You're a business partner, and so the other thing you can do is decide what you do well and then farm out the rest of the stuff to people like you. So if you're in need of marketing services, I would encourage people to contact you and find out what your services are all about.
Well, thanks, Stu. And coming from an Army guy, that really warms his airman's heart, so to speak.
Yeah, we don't talk highly about the Air Force often, but...
right. Well, I appreciate it. And so, well, that's it for this week. And if you need to get in touch with me, you can call me at 321-613-8476. at 613-8476, or email me at brad@justsmallbiz, that's BIZ.com. Thank you, and have a nice week, and before you know it, it's going to be December. So hope you had a great Thanksgiving.